in trouble right now. I'm in trouble.
They're like, Susan needs to stop talking.
You muted?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April Board of Education meeting. Before we begin the meeting, I would like to ask everyone to stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please take a seat. And I will kindly ask Dr. Rufo, the Associate Superintendent for Business, to provide us with the budget information for the 2026 and 2027 school year. So, Dr. Rufo.
Good evening, and welcome to the third budget presentation for the 26-27 school year. The February and March meetings, we went over the detail sections of the budget. We went over the admin section, the capital, and in March we went over the detail of the program budget. So tonight I plan to just go sort of high level, do an overall budget and the tax cap and let you know of any updates and changes. We spent a little time on revenue, plan to do a little more tonight regarding updates and changes. Unfortunately, from a state perspective, today they passed another budget extender, so we won't have any state numbers to present tonight other than the same numbers that we presented back in February, the first time. So what hasn't changed about the budget is the budget climate. We're still dealing with the factors that we've been talking about all through this budget season, as well as the prior one or two, which is the negative pressure of health insurance, other benefits, the inflationary pressures that we've been feeling have continued this year. And another factor this year, again, is our liability insurance as a result of market rates in the insurance world, and particularly in school districts. One of the areas that we did have a change, you may remember that back in March 1st, I was required to submit to the comptroller the district's tax cap. And at that time, the number was 2.3%, which is what I presented to you in March. Since that time, well, included in that number as part of the tax cap is something called a capital exclusion. And that's where the district's debt service goes. So included in that number is our regular debt service and then an estimate that we put in for bands, the first borrowing for our phase 3 capital projects. And so I had an estimate in there, I think, after talking with our fiscal advisor of a 4% interest rate. Well, we went out for a bid, and on April 8th, we had results, and we had more favorable interest rates, so that's good news. We had a net interest rate of 2.4, which was made up of an interest rate of 3.25, and then a premium payment of about $450. So that netted a lower debt service payment. Try not to get too I'm in the details, but that translated into a lower capital exception. So therefore, the expense came down on the budget, and the tax cap came down a bit. So our actual tax cap, I put in a revision, is 2.2% of the calculated tax cap. And the tax cap can be changed up until the board adopts the budget. So with a tax cap calculation of 2.2% and an actual tax levy being proposed of 2.19, we continue our trend over the last 14, 15 years of being under the state tax cap, and cumulatively that is about $11.2 million over the last 14 years. So overall, high-level numbers. We're proposing a tax levy increase of 2.19%, which is about $26,000 below the calculated tax cap of 2.2%, and that goes along with a budget-to-budget increase of 3.74%. So let's just talk about the budget for a moment. Back in March, I mentioned to you that we were just starting our staffing meetings. And they're continuing. There's still minor shifts that are going on. And while we continue, as in most years, we've seen subtle shifts from some elementary, some changes to secondary, some shifts in special ed. So bottom line, there's not a big change. We're about the same, but there is shifts among the codes, and that is typical of most years. We had some updated estimates from BOCES, and that changed slightly the numbers that I presented to you back in March. I already talked about the debt service estimate. That came down about $240,000. And so those numbers have all been incorporated into the final numbers. And then we are going to we finalized our list of equipment, though the equipment that I presented to you for athletics and operations back in February and March. Those numbers have held. And here we have our list of capital projects. And we talked about the high school aux gym renovations, classroom renovations, which we typically do. These are smaller scale projects than our big capital work. And in some cases, they complement the capital work that's going on. And so each year, we tend to do some classroom renovations. We'll do a staff bathroom renovation to bring us into compliance with ADA. We're going to be doing an HVAC system upgrade, putting in a fan wall. A fan wall is kind of a modern HVAC system where that's the picture on the right, and you have individual fans, and they replace those old sort of single belt models and this is much more energy efficient, quieter, and the system needs replacing. We'll continue to do our district-wide site work, paving, roofing, and flooring. Given we have hiring some bus drivers, getting buses, we need to think about creating a more efficient operations with our transportation, so we might have to move there. And our grounds crew our operations team has been talking with athletics and trying to get them more efficient space for the athletic equipment as well. So those are our capital projects. Wanted to spend a little bit of time on revenue, and so how we get there in terms of thinking about the budget and the tax levy is all about the revenue. So The budget is basically our spending plan, and those are the funds that support the instructional program. Then we take out all of the other different types of revenues, state aid, our local revenue, our appropriated fund balance, and our use of reserves, and those are the numbers that are up there. And you take out all of those other items, and then you're left with the tax levy. And that's the amount of funds that's raised through property taxes after all of those others are first reduced. So, state aid is not final, but we're going to go with the numbers that we have here. And you can see that there is a considerable increase in state aid, approximately $3.5 million increase. Most of it is in foundation aid, which is the top number there, and that represents the largest, almost 65-66% of our state aid. The next large category is BOCES aid. So you know we do a lot of projects through BOCES, and we get aid in the subsequent year for those projects. So you can see it's from 6 to 7, from 5 to 6 is a slight decline, and that just reflects that we did a bunch of projects in 2004-05. Our transportation aid is increasing, reflecting increased costs for transportation, as well as an aid factored in for the buses and the reimbursement that we'll get for those. The remaining aid are smaller. They represent about 2 to 3%. Oh, I forgot building aid. So building aid, I'm sorry, is about the fourth one up from the bottom, and you see that that's going from about 1.7 to 2.3. The state aid run put us at about 2.3 million, and that just reflects the phase 2 projects, wrapping those up and generating more aid for those. And then we look at projects that the state may not have included or isn't aware are wrapping up, and we add to that number. We added about 75,000 to come to that 2,387. The other aid categories are fairly stable, and they account for about 2 to 3%. That's our excess cost aid for special education, high tax aid, and then other expense-based aid like hardware and textbook. Okay, we did have some changes in local revenue. So these were generally favorable changes, increases in local revenue, driven primarily by additional pilots. That's the number at the bottom. We had some pilots come on. We also, you can see an increase in unclassified revenue going from about $1 million to $1.9 million. And that represents two factors. One is the premium that I talked about on the ban. The other is, you might remember in February I talked about a project, a switches project for upgrading the network end-of-life switches, and that project was going to be funded in part through E-rate, and that number represents the funding for the E-rate project. Interest on investments, you see a little bit of a decline, and that just reflects potential reductions in interest rate. And also, I just, somewhat noteworthy, the second line is tuition. Prior to 2005-06, we didn't really have numbers in there, but we have children from other districts that are attracted to our newer special ed programs that Ms. Goldwaith has instituted. And when there's room in those classes, we can accept tuition-paying students, just like we send some of our students to outside districts. So we also receive tuition for those costs, revenue for those tuition costs. We'll continue in 26-27 to use our reserves to support the budget. And the reserves are tied to the expense lines in the budget, primarily benefits line. So we have reserves for those specific purposes, and we have historically funded our entire ERS expense with the reserve. And so that increase from this year to next year reflects the increase in the ERS expense that we anticipate. The other reserves, the TRS, we were able to bring down a bit and keep the other ones stable. So our reserve balance in June 2025 was about 36 million, and this represents about using about 9.4 of that. We'll also, this is our historical use of our appropriation of fund balance. So this is the unrestricted portion of the reserves that isn't designed for a specific purpose. And you can see over the last couple of years, we've stabilized at about the 2.9 million level. I think if you took the average from the last 10 years, it was about 3.7. So we're stabilizing at below that average. So the numbers that I talked about, the 374 budget, the 2.9 tax levy will be, upon acceptance, would be submitted on the property tax report card to the state. And then we also have to, this is the second page of the property tax report card, where we put our plan together for the reserves that we will use and the anticipated reserve balance. And next, at our next meeting on May 11th, that is the budget hearing, which will again be a high-level summary in preparation for the budget vote, which is May 19th.
Thank you, Dr. Rufo, for the presentation. And at this point, do we have any questions for Dr. Rufo? Mr. Greco?
Thank you, Dr. Rufo. That was great. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. My speaker sounds terrible. Does it sound terrible for you? Testing. How about now?
I can hear you.
Sort of. The 1 million increase in unclassified revenue, you said that was the band premium as well as the switch project funding. Is there anything else in that number? It's a pretty big.
Yes. Give me a second. Those are the largest components of the unclassified, the premium. We also have a refund that we get prior year. BOCES does an estimate of cost, and then they do let's say a truing up at the end of the year. And so we get, typically it's a refund of services, and that also goes in there. Those are the three big components.
The line above that, the rental of buildings, the 75K, that is when we rent out one of our schools for a third party unrelated to our own education.
That's correct. And we've only had that for the last, I don't know, maybe 4 years we've done that.
Okay.
So.
And then the tuition line, the 198. So other than Ms. Goldthwaite's stellar work, what is the and summer? What is that line item? Is that the summer school program?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ginsberg.
Hi. Thank you, Dr. Rufo. With the pilots, how are we able to forecast that going forward also? Is that like an increase? Is that something that's going to increase going forward also? Is it something we could really forecast years on out?
When we get a pilot schedule, it has the schedule for years out, however many years the project is for. What is challenging sometimes is when they come on and when they go off. And that sometimes can be a little bit tricky, because even though the pilot may end and the pilot holder may then be paying their full amount of taxes, they still may not go on the rolls. We've had that where I've forecasted that they're going to be ending, and so it really just becomes a matter of timing, whether it's this year or next year. But once they're on, we have the schedule.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Rufo,
Thank you.
for the presentation. And next is going to be the approval of the minutes. 5A and 5B can be taken together. They're the approval of minutes of the March 9th, 2026 monthly meeting and the March 26th, 2026 special meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Mr. Ginsberg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? And next, we'll have Mr. Greco to report on the Finance Committee. That took.
I think you were saying the meeting on March 11th. So the Citizens Finance Committee met March 11th. A couple of things we did was went over some of the budget and the update that you heard tonight, but also we met with a energy conservation and management services company. There was an RFP for that kind of work. It's a little bit different than I think a typical EPC. It's more of a energy management consultant or vendor trying to monetize sustainability. It was an interesting update, but we haven't had a chance to debrief because the meeting ended after we were asking the consultant questions. So we're going to do that this Wednesday, and then I'll have a little bit more to share with the board at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Greco. Okay, and next we are going to have Dr. Rufo back again to give us the Treasurer's report and appropriation adjustments. Dr. Rufo.
Thank you. As shown on the Treasurer's report, the cash on hand for the month end February 2026 was $94,540,179.19. It shows bank balances for all cash accounts were reconciled to the book balances and were collateralized in accordance with the district's banking agreements and investment policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rufo. So 6A and 6B can be taken together, and they're the approval of Treasurer's report and appropriation adjustments. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bertolo, seconded by Dr. Park. Are there any questions for Dr. Rufo? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. And we will have Dr. Rogers to give us his superintendent's report.
Thanks. I'm going to invite the board, if you'd like to sit in the front row of the auditorium. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight. As often, we'll start the board meeting with a student performance and then move into some PowerPoint presentations from staff. But tonight, we're going to extend the conversation we started 2 months ago on how the arts are adapting to the world of AI, and that brings us to a focus on process. So even though AI can produce some products, it can't produce the process that really trains students. So what we're going to do tonight, and I'm excited for this presentation, is see some student performances and then have comment on what was going on in the performances and in the instruction that led up to the performances, and how those instructional opportunities are tailored to really work on students' skills, and how that process allows them to, in art, do the things that are uniquely human, like provide voice and perspective. So if you'll join me in the front row, we're going to have some student performances, some comments from adults, and a little bit of a narrative to kind of string all of it together from Dr. Hale.
So can I tilt this so I can at least see the screen a little bit? Okay. We good? Good evening, Dr. Rogers, Ms. Chang, and the Board of Education. It's a pleasure to present to you again this evening and talk about our wonderful arts programs. It's a terrific week for the arts in Syosset. Tomorrow night we open our 64th annual K-12 District Art Show with about 1,300 pieces on display. The following night, this coming Wednesday, we'll be hosting the District Jazz Festival at Syosset High School with several elementary schools, both middle schools, and the high school represented. Tonight I'll be presenting a sequel of sorts. In February, you may recall that we presented on the visual arts and how in the current environment, with the national conversation captured by artificial intelligence and automation. The arts provide core skills and competencies for our students to live meaningful, fulfilling, and joyful lives. Some of these competencies include habits of mind, sustained investigations, and the development of student voice. Process and authenticity are the two pillars of the framework by which music and art can be understood in this era. The first of these, process, reveals core tenets of creativity that we teach in the classroom each day. Iteration, or continual improvement and refinement, is an inherent part of any creative act. The second tenet is that, as any musician can share, you cannot expect a great performance without many hours of consistent and focused practice. And finally, without process, terrific results are simply not repeatable. I'll share some research from the Stanford University School of Design stating how human processes built around a core mindset of curiosity, experimentation, awareness, and reflection are necessary to create meaning and sustain innovation. Our other pillar, authenticity, is harder to pin down, but this study from the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, presents it well, stating that contextual reasoning, stylistic awareness, and aesthetic judgment have high pedagogical value in the current environment. Tonight, we'll study an often unsung but extremely crucial aspect of a child's music education in Syosset, namely our small group lessons and chamber music ensembles. This experience begins in the 3rd grade for our students and focuses on the development of musical skills that are essential for the success of our program. In these lessons and groups, students learn side by side from the master teachers and musicians we are proud to call our Syosset music faculty. While we are familiar with our wonderful concerts featuring the band, orchestra, and chorus, the fact is that the majority of the musical instruction that takes place in Syosset happens in these small groups. Here are a few examples of where this work can be seen in action: community performances at nursing homes, tree lightings, Lunar New Year Arts Festival, and many others. Our chamber music club at Syosset High School, as well as chamber ensembles that meet in our elementary and middle schools perform, not to mention the Adelets, rock band, etc. There are countless competitions that take place each year for regional groups such as the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra, as well as powerhouse programs such as the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center, which we'll learn more about later. Solo recitals also often take place in Syosset. This photo is from last week when Lisa Yazanoff, who's attending the New England Conservatory this coming fall, performed her very own senior recital in the Syosset High School lobby for a gracious audience. And finally, the Syosset Honors Piano Recital, which is entering its 4th year, featuring our students who achieved a perfect score on a NSMA Level 6 this year. We'll be returning to the Syosset Public Library, where our students will serenade the community on their beautiful Steinway piano on June 6th. Perhaps the most familiar vehicle for our students to perform in solo or chamber settings is that of NSMA. The New York State School Music Association hosts festivals each spring where students perform for a rating. What many are not familiar with is the tremendous amount of participation that we have from Syosset. This spring, there will be 1,768 solos performed by Syosset students, a staggering number for any other community, which shows the tremendous dedication and value our families place on the musical experience at all levels. I have to say we are incredibly proud and fortunate to have students here tonight who know quite a bit about NSMA and want to share their experience with you. We are going to present our groups in NSMA level order so you can see firsthand these incredible students and how through their musical experiences they grow exponentially each year. Our first group is from our developmental program, which begins in 3rd grade. They are from South Grove Elementary School, and helping me introduce them tonight is their wonderful teacher, Ms. Amy Kausner.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Angelina and Emily. We are going to be playing some bass level 1 NSMA solos for you today. They were, I believe, the only duet to go to NSMA this year. And they went level 1 and they started in 3rd grade, and I'm so proud and honored to be their teacher. I hope you enjoy.
You go ahead. Thank you so much, Emily and Angelina. So in our developmental program, we develop listening skills, fundamental technique, as well as confidence, as you see, through side-by-side coaching. Emily and Angelina wanted to share a bit about their experience with you. So first, Angelina, how is learning a solo or duet different from learning music for an orchestra?
Learning a solo or duet is different from playing in orchestra, because when you play in orchestra, you don't have the support of the entire ensemble. But versus when you're doing a duet, you have to listen very closely to be in sync with your partner.
Excellent, thank you. So, and Emily, how would you say that you have grown as a student and as a musician from the experience of playing at NYSSMA?
I've grown because I've learned to be more independent and I was more confident in playing.
Excellent. So I'm very, very proud to share that Emily and Angelina received a rating of outstanding at NYSSMA, performing on their level 1, and we look forward to hearing them continue to play next year. They're attending different middle schools, but hopefully we'll be seeing them back together on the same stage when they get to Syosset High School. So thank you, Emily and Angelina, for playing. Thank you. So next, we have a woodwind duo from our middle schools. Here to help us introduce Timothy and John is their band director, Ms. Mandy Boonshaft.
Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce my two wonderful students, John Min and Timothy Manjaruga. They are two outstanding 6th graders here at Southwoods Middle School. I chose these two particular students to perform a duet at NYSSMA this year because performing in a chamber group gives the students a unique musical experience that cannot be replicated. It is important for their development, and at their skill level, I always want to challenge them and help them grow their ensemble skills. Aside from being stand partners in band, they are very close friends, so I knew they would be able to practice together outside of school. I gave them this piece back in January. I chose this particular NYSSMA Level 3 duet for them because it represents represents 3 contrasting styles of music, offering them many learning opportunities. Throughout this process, they've learned a lot about playing with one other person and without a conductor. Playing a duet requires communication and teamwork. We started the piece together, and I gave them some direction, but they then got together outside of school numerous times to rehearse the piece on their own. Each time I saw them for a lesson, I'd give them little pointers, but they really did so much of the work on their own. They not only had to learn their own part, but how their 2 parts fit together. And as you will hear, it is quite intricate. They are both such strong musicians. Both of these students will be performing level 5 NYSSMA solos in a few weeks at Syosset High School in 6th grade. Their performance at the NYSSMA Solo and Ensemble Festival last month earned them a perfect score, and I am so thrilled that Dr. Hale asked them to perform tonight to share all of their hard work with you. They'll be playing a 3-movement piece. The first movement is entitled Sonatina, the second is The Blues, and the third is Carnival. Please enjoy.
All right, thank you, John and Timothy. As you can see, in middle school, students have increased independence, developed their voice, similar to what we saw in the visual arts in February, and perform music that is progressively more demanding. So just a couple of points of reflection. Timothy, the two of you shared with me last week when I came to your lesson that you're also playing a different solo, you're each playing a solo at NYSSMA in a few weeks. How is playing in this situation different than what you experience when you're playing your solo at NYSSMA? Give them a, yeah. Thank you.
It's different because in a solo, everything depends on you, but in a duet, you have to learn how to work together and listen and slow down together and stop together. So, like, it depends on you and your partner, not just you, like in a solo.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And John, what's your experience been like? This music's more challenging than some of the music you've played in the past. So what did you learn this year in particular?
This year I learned, like, because in normal band, you kind of, you don't, not everything's like pinned on you because you have like band members and different people who also play the same instrument as you. So you don't feel like the pressure to like, kind of like, you don't feel the same pressure as when you're playing a solo or duet where it's only like a couple of people, because in a solo or duet there's more pressure on for you to not make mistakes.
Great. All right, thank you. Gentlemen, you sound terrific. Thank you so much. Thank you. And next we have two of our high school seniors. They're here to perform for you this evening, and here to introduce them, we have Ms. Stephanie Merton from Syosset High School.
Good evening. Before I introduce my two seniors here, I wanted to talk to you just briefly about Chamber Music Club and chamber music in general. At the high school, we have a chamber music club that meets every week after school, where students get together in groups of 2 to 8 players about to work on any music that they want. And listening to the younger groups play, I'm noticing at the high school, because they're older now, they have real opinions like, I want to play this style of music, I want to play in this combination of instruments. So the Chamber Music Club is students taking over, and I guide them as a coach, and then we also have officers, student officers, who also coach the groups to help with each group's participation. So there's about 40 students in Chamber Music Club this year, and a key element also I'm noticing as I'm watching the elementary school and middle school is that they're friends, they're kids that get together outside of school, and just like at the high school, we meet weekly, but the students that go on to compete and some of the students who just really love the music they're playing, they meet on the weekends, we meet on vacations, they meet when there's extra time, and they really commit to it because it's their personal project that they're taking ownership over. It's not a teacher telling them, I want you to learn this. So it's a really neat thing to come and see all these groups performing and practicing every week at Chamber Music Club. So they choose their own rep, from pop songs to Beethoven to Brahms to one time we had a student playing a guchang, the Chinese zither, and she wanted to play with string instruments, and we learned how to make music notation to make the group work together. So you can kind of pick anything you want, and we don't just do NYSSMA. Some of our groups are beyond NYSSMA almost. The level is so much higher. They go on to compete at competitions around the area in New York City. As this group, both these members have been in other chamber music groups as well. But why is chamber music important in general? I know Dr. Hill is talking about it, but from my perspective, it's one of the most effective ways to teach students to collaborate, to think critically, and take responsibility. And these skills carry far beyond the music room into career readiness, college readiness. I think the reason I'm comfortable in front of people is because of my training as a violinist and actor. Unlike large ensembles, as the student over here mentioned, chamber music only has one person on a part. So students really have to take ownership of their own role to play within the team. So they are the leader and the collaborator at the same time. They have to listen closely to one another, communicate, and problem solve in real time. You see them playing exactly the same articulations together, breathing together, starting together. It seems so simple when you're watching it, but when they first come together, there's so many intricate parts at play. They have to make critical thinking decisions of balance, timing, interpretation. You'll see them doing that with oral cues, visual cues, verbal cues. There's a lot of nonverbal communication consistently as they're playing. So as they take ownership over their individual role, they have to make these critical decisions, and they have to work towards their shared goal, which is their performance of the piece. So the biggest thing is that chamber music is not a passive performance. It's an active learning experience where they have to analyze and create together. If there's a passive player in it, it all falls apart. So it's a very delicate balance. So now I'm going to introduce Aiden Chan-Tempson and Daniel Meng performing the Brahms Lieder, Opus 105 from song number 1. And as you watch them, because they are high school students, they're really going to perform. Watch how they interact. Watch how musically they're communicating with one another with everything but verbal cues.
So Aiden and Daniel, thank you so much. They were willing to share some reflection as well. My first question to the two of you, and either one of you could answer if you'd like, what would you say, looking back now, is the most valuable thing that you've taken from playing in these chamber groups?
Honestly, one of the most valuable things that Ms. Merton mentioned is really the collaboration between each one. I think chamber music is the perfect metaphor for democracy, where everyone really has an equal voice. If you play something that's not to the highest artistic standard, it's very, very evident, especially amongst your other musicians and colleagues. So taking that ownership amongst everyone, having respectful views of everyone's opinions so that we can honor the composer's intent in the best way possible is really one of the best things I've learned playing with my friends and doing chamber music on a different level.
Thank you. Again, Daniel, is there anything you'd like to share about your experiences playing in these chamber groups?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Aiden. I would say that being in a chamber group with Aiden for so many years, we've grown to not only be musicians, but also very good friends, and I think lifelong friends. And I think that is something super valuable that chamber music brings to us, in that I think the amount of collaboration that we can achieve with all our peers, I think is something really beautiful, and is something I think all people can benefit from.
Thank you so much. Thank you, boys. Thank you. So finally, as I mentioned before, there are competitions that reach national level status that our students engage in, and one of these is the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center Young Artists Program. Each year, students at the highest levels compete to perform at one of the most prestigious spaces in the world, Alice Tully Hall in Lincoln Center. I like to describe the CMS program to people as the Regeneron Scholar Program for musicians. The demands for musical sensitivity and sophistication are incredibly high. And this year we have two winners. Brothers from Southwoods Middle School. Here to help me introduce them is their orchestra teacher, Ms. Jeannie Chung.
Hello. It is my pleasure to introduce two of my students who have achieved a great musical milestone. After many hours spent preparing, perfecting, and recording their piece, they advanced through the regional level to be officially selected by the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center, representing Syosset. They will be playing at Lincoln Center next month. Both Milo and Matthew are in 7th grade orchestra, where they play the cello as their secondary instrument. They are learning how to apply their solo piano skills into a large ensemble, which requires a different skill set. Tonight, you'll get to hear them showcase their main instrument, piano, as a duet. I hope you enjoy Mother Goose Suite for piano, 4 hands by Maurice Ravel, and this is Matthew Gu and Milo Gu. There we go.
Thank you, Matthew and Milo, and this is the stage they'll be performing on in just a few weeks. So Milo agreed to share some reflections with us. First of all, I just have to say, as a parent, it's wonderful to see two brothers playing so nicely together. You must have a very supportive family. So I guess my question for you is, how has making music in school, as Ms. Chung said, helped you achieve what you have in CMS competition?
Well, Sayasa provides a really awesome teacher, so I guess that's the main reason, like, how me and him played that, I guess, that well. And I'm really grateful for my orchestra teacher, Ms. Chong, and my principal, Ms. Burgett, and also my elementary school principal, Ms. An, because she helped me throughout my musical journey in elementary school, and also my previous elementary school orchestra teacher, Ms. Kosner, who also helped me throughout elementary school, and of course, Dr. Hale.
Oh. Thank you, Milo. Well, Milo, we're very fond of you and your brother as well, so thank you very much for your performance this evening. We're incredibly proud of you guys, and you're playing on one of the most beautiful stages in the world, so congratulations to you both. So in closing, as we look ahead in Syosset towards the work being done on Portrait of a Graduate, as one example, what we've seen tonight with our incredible performers is that these 6 skills being promoted by New York State is intrinsic to what it means to be a musician, something that Syosset students literally by the thousands get to experience each and every day. In fact, the portrait of a graduate in Syosset can also be seen as a portrait of a musician. And our students know this too, as you not only have heard tonight, but also can see by these reflections that were shared with us by students in preparation for tonight's presentation. So in closing, I'd like to thank our 4 teachers who joined us tonight and their incredible student performers. Let's give them all another round of a hand, please. I'd also like to thank their families who are here tonight for always supporting their children and keeping music at the center of their lives. And finally, thank you to the Board of Education for continuing the long-standing tradition of musical excellence in Syosset schools. That concludes our presentation, and with that, if you have any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to take them. You want to go stage first? Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Hill, for the presentation, and of course our very own Syosset musicians. And I just want to make a comment that during the presentation, the word collaboration was mentioned a few times. You know, it's both by the teacher and then also by the students. And I do agree that that collaboration is very important. And in fact, the board just adopted the goal in 2025, and we emphasize on the collaboration. And it's great to see that in action. So thank you. And at this point, do we have any questions for Dr. Hill? Great. Okay, thank you. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
That concludes our presentation.
Okay. Thank you. And we have no legislative items, and no discussion items, and no unfinished business. And we're moving on to new business. And 11A is the approval of staff changes. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Mr. Ginsberg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 11B is the approval of stipends and hourly rates 2025-2026. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Dr. Park. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 11C is the approval of coaching recommendations. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 11D is the appointment of summer school principal 2026. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Dr. Park. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions?
She happens to be in the audience if you'd like to congratulate her. She's
Oh, okay. Congratulations. We look forward to another great summer. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay. And 12A is the second reading and adoption of new and/or revised policies. Policy 2200, annual budget vote. Policy 2400, Board of Education meetings. 2420, formulation, adoption, and amendments of policies. 8111, reporting hazards. Policy 8520, free school meal services. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Mr. Ginsberg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 12B and 12C can be taken together. They're the approval of Committee on Preschool Special Education and the Committee on Special Education recommendations. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Ms. Abramson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? And 12D is the authorization for contracts for federal Part B funds. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 12E is the approval of settlement and release. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Ms. Abramson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13A is the authorization for service contracts. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13B is the authorization for special education and/or nursing contracts. Can I have a motion, please? Dr. Park, seconded by Ms. Abramson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13C is the authorization for health services. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Levitan. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13D is the adoption of the 2026-2027 school year budget to be presented at public hearing to be held on Monday, May 11th, 2026. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Mr. Greco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13E is the approval of school property tax report card for the 2026 and 2027 school year. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Levitan, seconded by Mr. Ginsberg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13F is the authorization to participate in Nassau County Consortium for Transportation Services. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Mr. Greco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13G is the approval of intermunicipal cooperative agreement, pupil transportation services. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Levitan. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13H is the authorization for Type 2 action, CCRO, for projects included in 2026 and 2027 budget. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Ms. Abramson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13I is the authorization for piggybacking Belmore Merrick Building and Grounds Equipment. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Levitan, seconded by Mr. Ginsberg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13J is the authorization to participate in Rockland County bid for purchase of electrical supplies, RFB RC 2024-009. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Dr. Park. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13K is the award bids. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, second by Mr. Ginsburg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13L is the award bids for electrical services upgrade at Bayless Elementary School. Contract Bay-E1 electrical construction work to Rollins Electric, Inc. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, second by Mr. Greco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13M is the award bids for electrical service upgrade at Berry Hill Elementary School. Contract BRH-E2- electrical construction work to Rollins Electric, Inc. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Levington, seconded by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13N is the award bids for electrical service upgrade at Robbins Lane Elementary School. Contract RL-E1- electrical construction work to Rollins Electric, Inc. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Mr. Greco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13O is the award bids for electrical service upgrade at Ward Women Elementary School. Contract WW-E2- electrical construction work to Raleigh Electric Corp. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13P is the award bids for Science Research Lab at Syosset High School. Contract HS-G3- general construction work to Norco Construction, Inc. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Mr. Greco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13Q is the award bids for Science Research Lab at Syosset High School. Contract HS-P3- plumbing construction work to Seaford Avenue Corp. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Mr. Ginsburg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstention? 13R is the award bids for Science Research Lab at Syosset High School. Contract HS-E3- electrical construction work to Kevin Anderson Electric, Inc. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, second by Ms. Abramson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13S is the award bids for Science Research Lab at Syosset High School. Contract HS-M3- HVAC construction work to RMS Industries of New York, DBA Reliance Mechanical. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstention? 13T is the authorization to enter into agreements for field trips during school day. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Dr. Park. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13U is the adoption of Grant 2025-2026. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, seconded by Mr. Ginsburg. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13V is the approval of student group charters 2025-2026. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, seconded by Mr. Greco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13W is the acceptance of donation. Indoor-outdoor ping pong table with paddles. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Koshia, second by Ms. Falco. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? 13X is the authorization for disposal of broken, surplus, and/or obsolete equipment, supplies, and books. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Rotolo, second by Dr. Park. Are there any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? And we're moving on to audience to the public. Please bear with me as I read the procedures for the audience to the public. The board values community input and provides opportunities to offer that input via email or in person. Persons who wish to speak during audience to the public must register online to speak in advance of the meeting by 5 p.m. the day of the board meeting. A link to pre-registration form will be made available on the homepage on the district website 1 week before the meeting. Persons wishing to address the board in person during audience to the public must conform to procedures adopted by the board. Speakers' remarks must conform to the following rules. 1, all speakers and observers are required to conduct themselves in a respectful and civil manner in accordance with rules set by the board. 2, speakers must address the board only, not members of the audience or the audience as a whole. 3, speakers must limit their comments to issues concerning school district operations, school district affairs, or board policy. 4,
because of rights protected by state and federal law. No speaker may speak about an individual student or staff member, nor will the board or administration entertain questions in public regarding collective bargaining, negotiations, personnel matters, student matters, or legal matters. 5, no speaker may speak about decisions involving specific personnel or specific students. If a speaker wishes to address the board concerning specific personnel or specific students, the speaker may write to the board. 6, speakers may not use epithets, slurs, personal abuse, lewd and obscene speech, profanity, libelous speech, threats, and frightening words or gesture, defined as word or gesture which by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite a breach of peace. Any person who violates the rules above will immediately forfeit the balance of their time addressing the board. To be recognized to speak, person must register with their full name and address and attest that they will comply with the rules stated above. In addition, only residents of the Syosset Central School District are permitted to address the board. Each resident will have 4 minutes to address the board, which may be extended or reduced at the discretion of the chair. The board will not permit polling of board members by speakers. After every resident wishing to speak has had an opportunity to do so, the board and or administration may respond to residents' questions or comments. No resident will be permitted to address the board more than once per meeting, and no one may record another member of the public in a manner that's disruptive or confrontational. And with that, we will have the speaker, Zbana Muqtadir.
Good evening, board. My name is Ibana Muqtadir. I'm a sophomore at the high school, and I'm a member of Leaders for Literacy. As some of you may know, Westside School experienced a fire about a month ago, which took out their entire library, and they were able to open up entirely last week, but their library is absolutely demolished, and they're operating similar to how Southwoods Middle School was operating about last year when their library was under construction. And I feel that as their neighboring school district, we have an obligation to donate books to them because they don't have access to a library. So I was wondering if we as a district with our 10 schools could come together to host a book drive and put that towards Westside Elementary School. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You still have 3 more minutes, or do you want to speak more, or this is it?
That's I have brought this up with Nikhil at the student government meetings at the high school, and I figured that this was the next step to come to get this actually going.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if you finish speaking, you may take a seat, and then we can address your questions. Thank you, and this closes the audience to the public. And thank you for coming forward to bring that to our attention, and then I'm going to defer that to Dr. Rogers to respond.
Zivana, thank you for your suggestion. Right after the fire, as you might imagine, the superintendents are a pretty small and close-knit group, and a number of us were sending text messages to the superintendent of Cold Spring Harbor, offering any way that we could support them as possible. It took a couple days for them to just assess what they had lost and what they would need and how quickly they might be able to reopen. One need that did appear, and I wrote about this in the Friday update, was a lot of their instruments were damaged by smoke and some of the water from the fire. So we were able, and Dr. Hale on a Sunday afternoon went through our basements and identified instruments that we had in inventory that we could loan to them, and they took advantage of those. We've been regularly corresponding with Cold Spring Harbor to see if there are any other needs that they have. They have not identified other things for us to do to help them, but I haven't made the specific offer of a book drive or something of that nature to them. So I think the right next step would be to share that we had students who were interested in trying to make a contribution to their recovery from the fire, and see if that is something that they think would be useful for them, or they may have another idea of something that's even a greater need for them. They'll obviously know best what they need right now, but I think they will be very encouraged to know that their neighbors are reaching out, and that students in particular were trying to find a way to lead and help with their recovery. So first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to let them sleep tonight. But first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to give him a call, and I'm going to share your offer with him and see if that's something they could take advantage of, or if they have an even more pressing need for us to work on. So thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers.
Thank you, Zibana. I just wanted to say I certainly support this proposal. I think it's a great idea. And while Dr. Rogers works on his end, we spoke about this in the past, but I just wanted to say again that at the building level with student government, we can certainly work to get a book drive going or pool our resources at the high school level and work with student government and continue to work with student government to get this type of idea off the ground if you'd like to. But thank you for addressing us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nikhil and Dr. Rogers, for your support. And someone from the Central Administration will get back to you after they reach out to Cold Spring Harbor. Thank you. And this closes our audience to public. And can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Mr. Rotola, seconded by Dr. Park. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Meeting adjourned. And the next meeting is going to be Tuesday, April 28th. Thank you so much and have a nice evening.